Hey there, it's Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how I made this crochet Mickey Mouse purse. I know it's totally different than anything I've ever made on this channel, and quite honestly, I think I'm a genius because I figured out how to make this and I've never made anything like this before, so I'm pretty proud of myself. So I recently got a Disneyland pass and was inspired by all the merch that the Disney stores have. I just kept thinking to myself, I could totally make crochet versions of these things, and that I did, my friends, that I did. And today I'm going to show you how I made it. But before we get started, this video is actually a collaboration with Kahlua, which basically means that this is a collaboration with myself because Kahlua is my second channel. It's my nerdy channel, so if you love Disney, Harry Potter, Avatar: Last Airbender, Star Wars, or pretty much anything nerdy, please check out Kahlua. Plus, the collaboration video for Kahlua is how to make this Mickey Mouse purse, which I must say is way faster and way cheaper to make than the crochet one. But I know that this channel is mostly crochet, so you are most likely a crocheter, but if you're not, or you don't really feel like spending 10 hours making a crochet Mickey purse, then check out the Mickey Mouse purse video on Kahlua's channel and learn how to make your very own little crossbody purse. But I know you're curious on how I made this one, so let's get started with the tutorial. So before you start any crocheting, you're actually going to need 5 pieces of cardboard. So grab your scissors and a box or some cardboard that you have left over and cut out 2 large circles. I don't have the dimensions for them right now, but I will have them in my blog linked down below. But I know that the diameter is 9 inches. So 2 large circles, 2 smaller circles, which I actually did not measure at all, but these are going to be the ears of the Mickey Mouse bag. And you're also going to need a large strip of a rectangular shape. And this is going to serve as the middle piece of the bag was going to support it, basically. And this is actually too short, so I actually needed to cut out 2 pieces, and I'm going to attach them together. That way it could wrap around the entire bag. So if you can, just cut out 1 long piece, but if not, then you could always piece the 2 together. So those are all the cardboard pieces that you need. Again, I'll have the dimensions in my blog linked down below. And I'll also have some diagrams and some written explanations just in case this video tutorial is a little too confusing or even too fast for you. So yeah, on to the crocheting part. I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Impeccable / Loops and Threads and a size 5mm hook. So right now I'm going to use the black yarn, and the first thing that I'm going to do is create a slip knot as always, and then I'm going to chain a chain that is long enough to cover the diameter of the large circle. So just run it across the middle of the circle, and when you reach the point where the chain is long enough to cover from end to end, then you are done. And all you have to do now is go back on it using a single crochet. And all a single crochet is putting your hook through the stitch, wrapping your yarn around the hook, bringing it back through the stitch, wrapping your yarn around the hook again, and then bringing it through the last 2 loops. One more time. Through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch. You're left with 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, back through the last 2 loops, and that is a single crochet. Now if you're not familiar with single crochet and you're a beginner crocheter, then that's totally okay. I think that this project is not necessarily difficult crochet wise, but it is rather tedious, and for a beginner it may get pretty frustrating, so it's up to you if you want to continue with this. I think that you can do it as long as you have a lot of patience and are willing to try a lot of trial and error. But I would actually recommend that you start an easier project and then work your way up towards this one. So again, I will have my crocheting for beginners video linked in the description box below, and then within the description box of that video I actually have a couple of easier crochet tutorials for you to try out. So again, you could try those first and then come back to this one, or you could just continue with this one. Totally up to you, but okay. So once you finish your first row of single crochet, once you reach the end of the row, you're going to chain 1, flip it over, and then continue making single crochets on top of the previous row of single crochets. And you're going to make a couple of rows of this. I'm going to show you how many you need to make right now. So the goal is to make a half circle. We're not going to make the full circle on this one because we're going to make the front of the project, which is the hardest part of the project. So just want to tackle the hardest part first. So basically we're going to continue with our rectangular shape up to like right here, and then after that we're going to start curving up. So make as many rows of single crochet that you need in order to reach this point of your semicircle. And then once you reach this point, now we're going to start curving it. And if you've ever made one of my halter top videos, then you know that this is really easy. All we're going to do is start decreasing the number of stitches per row. And again, really easy. So the only thing that's going to change, you're still going to chain one at the end and then go into the very first stitch as you normally would. But instead of going into that second stitch, you're actually going to skip right over that one and go right into the third stitch. And then just single crochet across the rest of the row like nothing happened, and little by little it's going to start curving in. It's going to look more triangular, or triangular than anything. It's going to start looking like a halter top and not necessarily round, but in the end it's going to be fine because we're going to attach two sides together and it's going to be round. Just trust me. So at the end of the row, chain one, flip it over, go into that very first stitch, then skip over that second stitch like it doesn't even exist, and then go right into the third stitch, single crochet, and again, little by little, it's going to start curving in. For the first couple rows, you can't really tell, but then after that, you can totally tell, and that's exactly what you want. You want to start getting smaller and smaller, and it will, because you're making less and less stitches per row. So it's going to start curving in eventually, so don't worry if you can't see it right away. See, very slight curving right here, and that's exactly what you want. And you're just going to continue doing that until finally you put it against the circle and it covers the entirety of that half of the circle. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So once you've made as many rows as it takes for you to cover that half circle, then it's time to move on to the bottom half of the project. If you're wondering, well, how many rows did you make? I actually never count my rows because I always forget. I always just get caught up in the moment of trying to figure out how to make the project, so I don't do the nitty-gritty counting as I probably should. But yeah, just eyeball it, keep making rows until it's completely covered. And as I said before, it is going to be more triangular than anything. It's not necessarily round, but it still works. You're just going to curve it in and it's going to be round, no worries. So once you're done with the crocheting part of this semicircle, then you're going to grab your scissors and detach it from the yarn ball. Grab your hook, put your hook through the last loop, bring over the excess yarn and bring it through the last loop, give it a tug, and then cut off the excess yarn. And then after you're done with that, then you don't have to worry about this half of the semicircle anymore until we've crocheted everything else. So now that you're done with this half of the circle, then you're going to have to do the other half, which is going to be Mickey's pants or shorts. Are they shorts or pants? They're kind of short. So shorts, Mickey's bottoms. And of course you're going to use the red yarn or the burgundy red yarn that I used. I don't like using super bright red, but sometimes his pants are super bright red, so it's totally up to you. Okay, so you're going to do the exact same thing as you did for the first piece. You're going to chain a chain that is long enough to cover the diameter of the circle, and then you're going to go back on that chain using a single crochet. And then once you've completed your first row of single crochet, then you're going to make a few rows of regular single crochet without you skipping any stitches. And then once you put it against the circle and it's covered to about this point, then you know it's going to need to start curving in. And in order to curve it in, then you're going to start decreasing. And to decrease, every time you reach the end of the row, you're going to chain one, go into the first stitch, but then skip over the second stitch. And you're going to continue doing that until you put it against the circle and it's completely covered and nice and even with the other half of the circle, and you're good. So now you have to work on all the other pieces that make up the rest of the purse, which again is much easier than what you just did, so don't even worry about it. You're going to make a total of 3 large round pieces with the black yarn, and this is going to serve as the front and back of the large round pieces of the purse. So all you have to do in order to make these round pieces is create a slip knot, then chain 3, just 3. 1, 2, 3. Then go back into the very first chain that you just made. Create a single crochet within that chain. Now you're left with like some weird shape. But you're just going to continue going into that same stitch and keep making single crochets until you finally created a circle. And that's just how I make it. There's probably a much more like a neater way to make this, but this is just how I make mine. I just keep making single crochets until I realize that I now have a circle, and I'm going to show you right now. And this is my little circle that I've created, and now that I have this little circle, I'm going to change up what I've been doing. Instead of making single crochets in the same spot all the time, I am now going to make single crochets on top of the previous row of single crochets that I just made. So I'm just going to stack my single crochets on top of the single crochets that I made in that one stitch. So you just keep going around and around that little circle until you notice that that little circle is starting to curve in a little bit. And when it does start to curve in after about, say, 3 rows, then that's a sign that you need to, instead of make 1 single crochet per stitch as you normally would, you now need to make 2 single crochets per stitch. So every time you come across a single crochet of the previous row, you create 2 single crochets inside of the same stitch, and that will increase the number of stitches that you have for that entire row. And after you've created that, then you can continue with only 1 single crochet per stitch for the next rows until you notice that it's starting to curve again. Then you do the exact same thing where you make 2 single crochets inside of every stitch. So I continue going around and round and round until my little circle gets bigger and bigger, and I put it against the large circle that I created, and it fits the entire thing. And I'm going to make a total of 3 of those. Then after I make those 3, I'm going to move on to my one rectangular piece. This is the part of the purse that I showed you that's going to go all around the large circles, and this is going to serve as the base, the middle of the purse, what gives it space so you can actually put stuff in it. And like I said before, I needed to tape 2 pieces together to make it long so it could go all around the purse. And yes, I did make it out of a box of milk that I got from Costco. So being resourceful here. But basically all you have to do now is crochet a rectangular piece that covers the entirety of this piece of cardboard. And the first thing that you need to do is create a slip knot and then chain a chain that is long enough to cover the length of the piece of cardboard. So I'm just going to chain a chain that is long enough to reach from one end to the other. And then once I've chained that chain, I'm going to go back on it with single crochet, and then I'm just going to continue making normal rows of single crochet until it's able to cover the entire thing. However, if you do have time and patience, I would actually suggest that you crochet double the height of this piece. That way you can just fold it over and then attach it once, instead of do what I did, which I'll show you in a bit, which was much more complicated. But yeah. And then the final piece of the puzzle would be to make 4 smaller round pieces for the ears. So these are all the pieces I made: the 3 large round black pieces, the 1 rectangular piece, and then of course the 2 smaller pieces for the ears, which I say 2 because I only made 2 and then I decided to use felt for the rest. But I would suggest, if you have time and patience, to make 4 of them. That way you can just make everything crochet and not have to use fabric or felt like I did. I was just running out of time and patience, so I just decided to use felt, which is actually a little more complicated than just crocheting the whole thing. But anyway, I would suggest making all of your pieces out of crochet, because then all you have to do is grab your pieces and align them to the cardboard and surround the cardboard with the two pieces and then just attach them from the sides. And it's super easy, way easier than sewing in fabric in the back. So please make all of your pieces crochet. It is worth it in the end when you have to attach everything together. So in order to attach everything together, I'm going to show you how to attach the hardest ones, which are these two colors right here. And all you have to do is grab your hook and put it through one side of both the red and the black. Then grab your yarn and bring it through both pieces, secure it with a slip stitch, and then they're nice and attached at one end. So all you have to do now is slip stitch your way across the two pieces until you reach the other end, and then they'll be nice and attached and perfect. And now you can move on to attaching the rest of the project. So again, this is the most difficult part of the entire purse. And yes, the entire purse is a very tedious project to make, but once you get these two halves crocheted and attached together, then the rest is very easy, especially if you crocheted every piece and you're not like me and didn't crochet every piece and you included fabric instead of two crochet pieces like a dork. But anyway, now all you have to do is attach the sides of the two circles, and it's very easy. You basically do the same thing. You attach the yarn to one side of the circle. That's funny because circles have no sides. But you just attach the yarn to a certain place on the circle, and then from there you just go around and around, pushing your hook through both pieces. So right now I am just going around the outer stitches of the two circles and connecting them using a slip stitch. And I'm just going to continue doing this until I have attached most of it. However, I am going to leave a little bit of space. That way I could actually put the piece of cardboard in, and then after I put the piece of cardboard in, then I'm going to attach the rest. So this is the final product with both pieces attached to one another with the cardboard in between. That way it's nice and firm. And yeah, basically that's all you have to do for the second large round cardboard piece, as well as for the two Mickey ears. So yeah, it's really easy to just attach the two, again, especially if you crocheted everything. And I will show you what everything looks like once they have the front and back attached to one another. So again, this was the first one that I worked on. I've attached everything. It has the half circles in the front and then the solid back. And then of course I have just the plain black with the two pieces of round black crochet pieces, I don't know. And then here I have the Mickey ears here with fabric in the back instead of a crochet piece, because I didn't have time to crochet two more small round pieces. But if you have the time to do it, I would definitely recommend it. It's much easier than sewing in fabric to crochet, as opposed to just attaching two crochet pieces with a slip stitch. So yeah, either way, those are done, thank goodness. And finally, I have my long rectangular piece, which I attached this green fabric to, because quite honestly, I need to get rid of this green fabric. It was an accidental purchase. I wanted to get a different material and a different color, but I got this instead, and I need to get rid of it. So that's why I used it for this project. You're not going to see it. It's just going to be on the inside of the purse. But again, please make everything crochet. That way it's nice and easy to attach. This was a real pain to attach, again, because this fabric is horrible, and I need to get rid of it. But anyway, so these are all the pieces that you will need. And now it's time to attach all the pieces that you just attached fronts and backs to each other. Woohoo! And I'm sorry I don't sound very enthusiastic right now. I've just been working on this for 9 hours, so please bear with me. It is worth it in the end, though. I'm very happy with how it came out. So, okay, we have all our pieces nice and attached to one another. So now all we have to do is actually form the purse. So what I'm going to attach first is the rectangular piece to the front piece, which is the Mickey's shorts piece. And I'm going to attach it using the exact same method I did for the other pieces of the project. I'm just going to attach the yarn with my hook and then slip stitch across the entirety of both projects until they're nice and attached, and I'm happy with it. And after I did that, the project looked like this. I mean, yes, it does look a little bit wonky because I moved the cardboard around a bit, but that's just little details that we can fix afterward. Right now we need to focus on attaching everything. So only one half of it is attached right now, but I was pretty impressed that it could still stand on its own. That's one of the things I really wanted this purse to do, just be able to stand on its own and look cute. But anyway, so now it's time to attach the plain black round piece to the back using the exact same method, and then attach the ears as well using the exact same method. And overall, it's a very easy and simple thing to do. It just takes a really long time, especially if you made your stitches tight, because then it's really hard to actually get in there and slip stitch inside of them. But anyway, I've attached everything and I think it looks pretty good, and hopefully yours looks this way as well at this point. And although it looks fantastic, there's actually a little thing you actually need to do here. You need to create a space for your zipper. So obviously this is too big of a space, so I went ahead and closed it off with some more rows of single crochet coming from one end and the other end, but leaving the middle nice and open so I could add my zipper and put my things inside of the bag. So I grabbed my zipper from my local craft store, I believe it was Michael's, and I grabbed my needle and thread and attached a zipper to the purse. That way it could be a nice functional purse. However, if you do not know how to sew, I don't know if you could hot glue this. I know a lot of people who don't know how to sew like to just hot glue things together, but I don't know if it'll actually hold. I mean, you could try it, but if you can, try to sew it together because it's much more sturdy that way. And if you want to avoid zippers in general, you could also try Velcro or maybe even a button. Totally up to you. I went for a zipper and I have no regrets, although it does look a little bit weird because the zipper was too long. I really tried to find a smaller one, but that was the smallest one available. But overall looks good. So now we have to make the straps and the two little buttons that Mickey has on his shorts. And if you want to make Minnie Mouse, all you have to make are polka dots and a bow, and it's Minnie Mouse. So just make a bunch of smaller white dots to serve as polka dots, a bow, and you're good. So again, now it's time to make the strap. Now you can just chain a strap, however, I feel like those aren't as sturdy. So I make a braided strap consisted of 9 very long pieces of yarn, and then I group those 9 pieces of yarn into groups of 3, and then I serve the 3 separate groups of strands as 1 strand each, so it's like a total of 3 strands, and then I braid those 3 strands together. And it takes a really long time because I want the strap to be really long since this is going to be a crossbody bag. But once I'm done with it, it looks pretty good and it's pretty sturdy, slightly stretchy, which is good, nice and flexible. And then I attach them to the sides, basically the same exact way that I did the other ones. Slip stitching really helps in attaching things. It's a really powerful stitch, I have to say. So after I am done attaching the straps, then I am pretty much done forming the purse. Finally. So satisfying. Now, just to add the small details, at this point you need to decide whether you want this to be Minnie or Mickey, and I went for Mickey because I like his look. It's adorable and classic. So I'm just going to make the 2 buttons, but again, if you want to make Minnie, you just need to make some polka dots, attach them to the red area, and then make a bow and attach it on top, and then you have Minnie. But yeah, if you're going to go for Mickey like I did, then you just need 2 oval pieces and attach them to the red part of the bag, and you're done. And it looks super adorable, and I love the way it came out. Totally worth it in the end, although I was suffering throughout, but this is a really unique bag and I'm proud of it, and I'm also so glad that it's over because that was a really long process. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, if you need more directions, more pictures, better specifics and diagrams, then I will have the link to my blog post that will serve as a supplemental guide to making this Mickey purse in the description box below. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to check out my second channel, Kahlua, for all things nerdy. I typically make Harry Potter videos, but I'm definitely going to start making a lot more Disney videos, especially now that I have a pass, so don't forget to check out that channel, linked in the description box below. Plus, you'll get that extra Mickey Mouse purse DIY, so that's exciting too. Well, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and also click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye!